Now we have a keynote address by Rika Sharma, Head of Agency and Industry Relations, Go-to-Market, APAC Google.
Hi everyone, I'm Rika Sharma. I'm Head of Agency, Tech Partner and Industry Relations for APAC at Google. I'm here today to talk about digital transformation. The theme, Route to Ready. This presentation will address three sections. The first, the why. I'd like to talk about market themes and importantly address why there is a need to shift mindset, both for you as a senior stakeholder, but also for your organization. The second section is the how, a flywheel, really a Google point of view. I'd like to give you some pragmatic advice on how you can embrace digital transformation with your organization. The third section is the what. So key considerations I'd like you to keep in mind as you embark on your digital transformation journey, and a use case, really a best in class that hopefully should be helpful as you take on your own digital transformation journey. But before we get started, let's start with a quote. I believe this is a very meaningful quote, especially as we talk about digital transformation. The greatest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence. It is to act with yesterday's logic. Peter Drucker. What am I trying to say with this? In other words, you don't have to know everything about digital transformation. You don't have to do everything when it comes to digital transformation. You don't have to get it perfect, but you sure have to do something. I'd like to now start with section 1, the why. But before I do, let's talk about what digital transformation is. Digital transformation is about fundamentally changing your organization in two ways, really, both culturally and technologically, to deliver value to your customers. Now, digital transformation can take place in many areas, but there are 6 that I'd like to highlight. The first, logistics and operations. UPS is a great example. When you talk about education, especially higher education, the Power MBA is a good example. Customer experience gap. You think of McDonald's. They've done a great job in this area. When you talk of product or services, you think Netflix. Customer engagement. Domino's is a great example that comes to mind. When it comes to infrastructure and scaling, Spotify is a great example. Now, these are all brands you see. These are all brands that are around you. So when you think of digital transformation, think of it as an ongoing journey. It's not a destination. And that's important. So I'd like to now talk about why is there an urgency around digital transformation, especially in this current environment, and importantly, why you should care. 3 themes that I'd like to highlight in section 1 are, first, acceleration, second, experimentation, third, transformation. Let's start with acceleration. The velocity of change is faster than ever. The future is here. And COVID's done that to us. It's transformed our lives. COVID has acted what I like to call a time machine. It's brought 2030 to 2020. Everything you thought as an organization you had more time for has gotten accelerated. So for CMOs such as yourselves, for digital marketers such as yourselves, your organization over the past 18 months have come fast, have transformed quickly, and you still haven't felt its full impact. So there are a few big shifts I'd like to call out. The first, consumers have moved increasingly online. Now, this is not new news to anyone. However, the velocity with which this has happened is definitely interesting. We've seen 10 years in 8 weeks. So essentially, we've compressed several years of digital market evolution into just a few months. This is because consumers have raced online for everything, whether they're purchasing daily necessities or seeking medical treatment, which really wasn't the case prior to COVID. The second one is customer expectations for personalization. They continue to grow. We've noticed 78% of online consumers are more likely to purchase following a personalized experience. The third big shift when it comes to trends is privacy regulations and third-party cookie removal. They're all changing how precision marketing is done. I'm sure you're facing this in your organization. 80% of customers are cautious about sharing their data. But you know what's interesting? They still expect personalization. So many companies have responded well to this, changing with speed and agility. Others have been slower to react. And there are some that haven't reacted at all. And what I do want to call out in this section, especially when we talk about acceleration, is remember, these are not passing trends. They will continue to grow, they will continue to gain traction, so we need to reimagine the status quo. If you look at the industry at large, a lot has been said. Unilever has said it's critical that the entire advertising industry work together to create privacy-safe environment for people. John Lee, who's the chief data officer for Merkle, has said we need to restart and reimagine digital advertising, especially where we're being meaningful and creating engaging experiences for customers throughout that customer journey. Google itself has sent a message to the ad industry to say, we won't build any of our own third-party cookie alternatives. I realize that this is not easy. Big changes rarely are. But at this moment, it is unclear how we will build back to recovery. Therefore, we have a huge opportunity to come together as an industry. Rethink, rebuild the data and tech ecosystem in a sustainable way for the future. I understand it's been high in terms of acceleration. We've talked about uncertainty. However, what I would like to highlight is through this acceleration and through this uncertainty, we have opportunity. But as brands, as you listen to this, we need to be prepared. And my call for everyone here is use this time to get ready. You might ask, how? This brings me to my second theme, experimentation. So what can we do? Yes, the acceleration has been fast. I'm talking about experimentation being important. How can you do this? Now, we know experimentation is not a new concept. However, the focus on it is critical because we need to evolve. And what is experimentation? It's not about taking and replicating what we have. It's about radically trying new and different things available to you that you didn't already have. Okay, maybe I try this with an example. You could suggest that traditional marketing tends to make small changes at large scales, which is inevitably less informative than making a single big change in a small area or region. So my advice here is don't move 3% of your budget to digital in a nationwide campaign. Move 100% of your budget to digital in a single city or a really small region, and then look at the results. This will allow you in a meaningful way to see the impact of that 3%. Identify sustainable solutions today that will help you thrive tomorrow. I'd like to give you some practical examples on things that you could lean on. Let's talk about first-party data. Having a relationship with your customer is critical. And honestly, there is no replacement for that. You can lean into first-party relationships where there's consent and expectations for relevance. And don't forget, joint value. That's important. As well as automation and machine learning. Many of you, I'm sure, are already taking advantage of this. This might be things like automated targeting, smart bidding, conversion modeling. So take advantage of modern technology. And speaking of modeling, you can run predictive modeling and regression modeling and help compare what you think will happen with what actually happens. This is important. Be prepared for less data in the future by understanding those correlations today. Also understand how you could work with large first-party data sets, working with your partners. This will enable you to do a few things. It'll enable you to reach and re-engage with your customers directly across search, shopping, YouTube, display, while preserving users' privacy. And for some of you, you probably are already experimenting with sandbox solutions. So the point I'm trying to make here when it comes to experimentation is there is no silver bullet. Experimentation is really about creating room to fail, and that it's okay to fail, but be able to scale fast at the same time by testing and iterating until you find solutions that work for you as an organization. And as organizations, you should not be afraid of failure and be collaborators, become expert collaborators, drive clarity and alignment in your vision. Lastly, my counsel would be don't go at it alone. Lean into external expertise as needed. Use that partner ecosystem to help you build and execute a meaningful learning agenda. And I say this because the experts available to you have a lot of knowledge from other brands that can help you ramp up quickly. Which brings me to the transformative power of experimentation. I want to leave you a thought when we think about experimentation. Everything is a test mentality. So when you're trying to make business decisions or run your marketing campaigns, think of everything being a test. This will help yield big results and competitive benefits. Okay, so we've talked about acceleration as a theme. We've talked about experimentation and the importance of experimentation as a theme. The third area I'd like to talk about is transformation within section 1. Here are some important data points. So why is digital transformation and advancing marketing maturity so important? It's clear. Digitally mature companies outperform their less mature peers. Now, this should come as no surprise. So companies that are able to be agile, be nimble, will transform quickly and reap rewards. There was a BCG research done earlier this year that found that more mature brands increase their sales by average of 18 percentage points, more than less mature peers, and boosted cost efficiencies by an average of 29 percentage points. These companies outperformed on market share as well, with more than twice as many digitally mature brands. Now, these are not small facts and small numbers. We know that multi-moment brands versus less digitally mature brands do better. But transformation does not have to be complex. And I really do want to call that out. I started this session with saying that you don't have to do everything when it comes to digital transformation. Just start with these 2 priorities. The first is to create marketing that's agile and responsive enough to capture short-term opportunities. I recognize those are important as well. The second is build to long-term resilience for your business by rethinking how you collect, connect, and activate that data across your entire organization. And here's the good news. These priorities don't have to be at conflict with one another. So that ends up section 1, which we talked about the importance of what is digital transformation, the 3 important themes, which were acceleration, experimentation, and transformation. I want to now get into section 2, the how. Often people tell you why it's important, but not always the how. So I'd like to present a flywheel to you. It's really a Google point of view, but importantly, it has pragmatic advice on how you and your organization can embrace digital transformation. But before I start to do that, I do want to reframe the conversation on transformation. We've had 3 key learnings when it comes to COVID and digital transformation. First, consumer behavior is not going back to what it was before COVID. And what that means to us as an industry is that customer experience is the key growth driver now for delivering it as a job, but it's a job not just for you, it's a job for the entire organization. The second, customers hear the word digital transformation, and it often sounds like a lot of jargon, a really lengthy, expensive project, and then it starts to lack any sense of urgency. So I'm here to say, I'd like to show you a simple value-adding flywheel that fuels your organization's agility and achieves business goals in a simple way. The third learning we've had, CMO buy-in is necessary, but I do want to call out not sufficient to drive real transformation within the organization. So there is a need, therefore, to highlight the value of transformation for members of the C-suite beyond the CMO. I'd like to now present route to ready. How do you move your business forward on the route to digital readiness? So being ready has never been more critical for business leaders. Being ready has never been higher on the agenda of CMOs. And being ready has actually never been more achievable for marketers. So while we all recognize that digital transformation is essential for growth, it's been fragmented because of internal ownership and its ambiguous scope in many parts of the business, really challenging us from getting to business results. I'd like to start with the route to ready 6 questions that might help you and your organization uncover opportunities, future growth, and help you grow. The first question really is around, are you growth driver ready? The second question is around, are you org of the future ready? The third question is around, are you privacy ready? The fourth question is around, are you full funnel marketing ready? The fifth question is around, are you end-to-end experience ready? And last but not least, the sixth question is around, are you results ready? So when you think of your route to ready, think of 2 elements, the real-time impact, but also the sustained value. I talked about earlier the short-term goals, but also building for long-term resilience. And that's what this route to ready does. I'd like to now showcase what the flywheel might look like. We call it the 6 accelerators along the route to ready. The first accelerator is around planning and budgeting, and I'll get into that in a moment. The second accelerator is around talent, teams, and culture. Critical. The third accelerator, as you might imagine, is around data and the need for insights and actionable insights. The fourth accelerator is around customer-centric marketing, which will become increasingly critical in the future. And the fifth accelerator is around developing new customer experiences. And finally, the sixth accelerator is around outcomes and agility. I'd like to spend the next few slides taking you through each of these accelerators, what it means from a CXO lens, what it means from a marketing lens, and what it means from a call to action that you need to do, perhaps as an individual or an organization. So let's start with the first one, planning and budgeting. From a CXO perspective, what you need to be thinking about is annual plans and budgets should be flexible and fluid, just as your customers. From a marketing lens, you can only be as fluid as your customers. So what's important here is really to test, learn, reallocate your resources, and then repeat it again and again. That mindset of experimentation we talked about earlier, really critical. So what's a call to action here? Uncap business growth by reorienting your operating model around consumers, not channels, right? What I want to show after each of these accelerators is how Google perhaps can be an enabler if they are a partner for you as an organization. An example of that, working with a partner like Google, would be de-siloing. Here, what we're suggesting is de-silo your media budgets within your organization to help address this. The second accelerator I'd like to talk about is talent, teams, and culture, often overlooked when we talk about a digital transformation journey. Remember, I started with saying in a digital transformation journey, it's important both culturally and technologically. Here's where culture plays a key role. From a CXO lens, know what it takes to collapse organizational silos, upskill your talent, upgrade your partners to make all your hard work really work. From a marketer lens, marketers play a valuable role as connectors throughout the entire organizations, and they keep employees up to speed on the latest trends. So a call to action for you here, lead by connecting and aligning teams towards a common goal. Again, with this accelerator, if you're working with Google as a partner, the importance here is around diversity, equity, and inclusion, what we call DEI. From a CXO lens, when you seek diversity on your teams and empower people to speak up, it produces better results. From a marketer lens, create work that reflects the world and has meaningful business benefits. We need to be all in, and we have the power to do so as an industry. So the call to action, if you were working with Google, would be DEI programs. We have many of these internally that we could bring externally to both partners and to brands. Moving on to the third accelerator, data and insights. Use your first-party data to better inform business decisions by putting the right people, the right technology, and the right processes in place. Definitely easier said than done. But from a marketer lens, gain competitive advantage, and you can boost your performance in a sustainable first-party data strategy to future-proof your business. And we know there's no getting away from this. So the call to action here is protect your customers and businesses by honoring privacy preferences and cultivating trust and transparency. Once again, if you were working with Google, one of the enablers would be our privacy solutions. A call to action with Google would be invest in first-party data and new privacy-forward techniques while leaning on solutions that use automation. This brings me now to my next accelerator, customer-centric marketing. Many of you perhaps already do this. and probably do it really well. So as a CXO, when marketing is a growth driver, it can automatically manage both short and long-term results and use the combination of what we call agile creative and automated channels. And from a marketing lens, there are more moments for you to connect and earns people trust than ever before across that entire customer journey or the full funnel. So the call to action here is drive results across the full funnel by using agile, creative, and automation tools. If you were working with Google, an important solution that we have is automation. So you can unlock performance, time, and business building opportunities through a number of the automation products that are offered. The next accelerator is new customer experiences. From a CXO lens, this means reimagining that customer experience. It requires the very best of end-to-end digital experience, where it's easier for your consumers to get things done and seamless while having value and yet being meaningful. So from a marketer perspective, it means how do you build an impression, build long-lasting relationships? Brands need to deliver experiences that are seamless, rich, and rewarding. So a call to action here would be deliver a direct, frictionless, and full funnel experience. So if you are working with partners like Google or others, areas you should be exploring or double downing on are mobile and app. So for a CXO, there are untapped ways to unlock strategic value for your business. And it often starts with your app. For marketers, when it comes to converting valuable users, apps win by a factor of 3 and help you connect with more customers, build brand love, and grow your business. And we've seen a growth of that in Southeast Asia and India. This brings me to the final accelerator on the route to ready. So from a CXO perspective, it means when you're talking about outcomes and agility, better business outcomes are only achievable with shared objectives across the teams. And those objectives could be around online, store, app, web, shopper, trade, etc. But the alignment of those objectives is critical. And from a marketer perspective, we know measurement is crucial, but only if it leads to insights. And I emphasize that measuring everything isn't important. Leading to actionable insights is critical. So an agile culture and approach is the way to translate those insights into action. So the call to action here would be provide a unified view of customers and advanced measurement to guide your business strategies. So when it comes to Google, we have a number of products and solutions around measurement for growth. And look at ways in which you can translate consumer behavior into goals and metrics across your organization through measurement. And ideally, set that up at front and embrace that culture of experimentation I've often talked about. That now completes the 6 different accelerators across route to ready. What I'd like to do now is I've given you 2 slides as easy references. This slide summarizes the 6 accelerators: planning and budgeting, talent, teams and culture, data and insights, customer-centric marketing, new customer experiences, and outcomes and agility. On one slide, you can have 6 different accelerators you can look at as you embark on your digital transformation journey. The following slide gives you, in gray, the different Google enablers that could help you accelerate further and faster, should you choose to. And these 6 accelerators summarized on the slide are de-siloing, focusing on diversity, equity, and inclusion, the importance of privacy-first solutions, the need for automation, using mobile and app, and the importance of smart measurement. This now completes section 2 of this presentation. I'd like to go into the third and final section, the what. I'd like to talk about really 3 key considerations for you to keep in mind as you embark on your digital transformation journey, and then end you off with a best-in-class example. So the first consideration, it is more than just Google data. I know I've referenced Google, but we definitely recognize you have many different data sources. It's important to collect, connect, and activate this data across media data, site data, marketing and sales data, and enterprise data. So that's an important consideration. The second is be ready for the privacy-centric future. It's here, it's coming. There are 3 areas I'd like you to think about here. Is accelerate time to value. What do I mean by that? Bring together enterprise-wide data in real time. The second is have a competitive advantage through innovation. So securely analyze and transform within a trusted cloud environment. And the third is really about being future ready. Look at insights, activate them faster across your business, making sure they're actionable. So a privacy-first design for your future is going to be critical. The deprecation of cookies will happen by 2023, and it's imperative you as an organization are ready within that environment. The third consideration I'd like you to keep in mind is around building your first-party data strategy. Now, I can't emphasize the importance of this. Let me take you through some of these. First, you need to figure out what first-party data actually matters for your business. Focus on what is useful for your company and your customers, and this will vary across industries and business models. So the first is around your first-party data and how you collect it and why it matters. Second is really around a compelling value exchange. Once you know what data you need, figure out how to get that data with first-party data sources instead of your third-party sources. Consider how to give value to customers, and these could be things like loyalty programs or other offers in exchange for the data that they might find valuable. Third, platforms, processes, and people. So figure out what tech and talent you need to integrate with your marketing partners to make all of this happen. And this includes taking stock of your own tech, your own talent, and examining what organization silos currently exist within your company. The fourth, back to test and learn, right? We recommend really taking a test and learn approach to activate that first-party data. With nearly any scale of first-party data, start by analyzing it, understanding the macro trends behind it, derive behavioral insights, use your data and insights to experiment with different levels of personalization across advertising and marketing, assess the activation of these against your marketing objective. Fail at it fast, and try again. And finally, continue to measure the value of your strategy in order to prove ROI, and then adjust your data strategy as needed. With the cookieless world around us, it's imperative we have time now to build that first-party data strategy. So those are my 3 considerations to think about as you begin your digital transformation journey. I'd like to now end this presentation and leave behind a best-in-class case study. It's a really good use case of how Mondelez has transformed themselves as an organization, use digital transformation to drive empathy at scale. They worked in partnership with Google and their agency partners to do this successfully. Have a listen.
Hey, I'm Kate Stanford, VP of Ads Marketing from Google. With every pivot and zigzag over the past 18 months, and man, have there been a lot of them, if there's anything we've learned, it's that things can and do change in an instant. That means being adaptable has never been more important for all of us. That's true in our personal lives, but it's also true in our role as marketers. Whether it's keeping ahead of shifting consumer behavior,
so cute, that's why I ordered this one,
changing privacy regulations, or even just meeting new employee expectations, the question isn't whether to transform, but how. We're each asking ourselves things like, how can I get enough clarity to make the bold decisions I need to when times seem so uncertain? Now, of course, these aren't new questions, but they've for sure been heightened by the pandemic. And the standard answer to them has been digital transformation. But let's be honest, too often the term digital transformation is used as a buzzword. And if we're not clear what we mean by digital transformation, it's easy to imagine a long and complicated project. But at Google, we believe that what digital transformation should be is an ongoing and value-adding process, one that can simultaneously drive impact today and build resilience for tomorrow. We call this the route to ready for it. Mondelez recently embraced this route to ready. They're a company with a presence in so many homes around the world, including my own, with their portfolio of much-loved brands, like Oreo and Cadbury. But they're also an example of an effective digital transformation flywheel in action. Now, for Mondelez, the entry point to the process was customer centricity, transforming their marketing strategy to evolve from a mass marketing approach to a more personalized and helpful set of experiences. This is something they call empathy at scale. I'm so grateful to the Mondelez team who have joined us today to tell us a bit more about that journey. Donna Martin, over to you.
I had forgotten how tall you were.
You forgot how tall I was?
Or small I am.
When we looked around, we said everyone in CPG is kind of doing the same thing, which is one mass message to everyone, and that's not working, and that doesn't make sense because people chew our brands differently, do things differently. I think if we had to go back and say, what were the catalysts for change? It was just becoming fairly obvious to us that there was a need for personalization. The world was becoming more diverse, people had more tailored needs in our category, and we needed to go out and serve them.
Totally, and I think the context we were in also played a big role, no? We were just launching the new company strategy, recommitting to growth, recommitting to consumer centricity. We were in a moment where actually we wanted to give a second step to our marketing transformation.
Yep.
2018 was the first step, 2020, end of 20 was the second step. And we really wanted to insist again on putting the consumer at the center, no? And to this point of heart and science together, it was a good moment to do it. So empathy at scale was a great expression of that too, no? Not only the science, not only the pure numbers of ROI, but also insisting on creative excellence. How do you build consistent brands? How do you emotionally connect with consumers? So it was really the perfect moment, and I think it helped us reconnect all the different pieces of the way of marketing for Mondelez.
Partners like Google in, just like our agency partners, and really understand our ambitions and empathy at scale, we get more.
But you really need to connect great science with great art if you want to win.
For Mondelez, their route to ready began with the insight that in order to not only survive, but thrive, they needed to meet each consumer where they were. With this insight as a North Star, they broke down silos and galvanized an entire company. From marketing to information business systems to finance to customer service, this clear customer-centric path created a more agile approach. Now, the magic of Mondelez's story is that it's all about relationships. They redefined relationships both internally across their own business units and externally with customers. And they did so by putting data and insights at the heart of everything they did and combining data with agile, creative, and automation tools. Now, while these results are meaningful, it's just one step in the digital transformation journey. So, what's next? Mondelez's focus really built a shared objective for the organization. The realization that the future of marketing is personalized has uncovered the next step of their journey, to double down on empathy at scale. Now, just like Mondelez, your businesses and teams can discover and align around the route to ready that's right for your business, your people, your environment. Doing so begins a journey towards an opportunity to reinvent marketing as an agile growth center. Our goal at Google is to complement your creativity, determination, and aptitude, and provide a clearer path for you to continue to adapt to whatever comes next. Our solutions are created to help you move farther and faster. Solutions that use automation to help you capture rising demand opportunities across all of Google, like the new Performance Max campaigns, with ads tailored in real time to reach consumers at scale with relevant experiences, no matter what channel or device they're on, and all in a privacy-safe way. Now, changes aren't going to halt, and the future that we want won't design itself. But you can build your path to ready, and Google's here to help.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you found that presentation useful on digital transformation, route to ready. We talked about the why, the different market themes, and why there is a need to shift mindsets for you as senior stakeholders and your organization through acceleration, experimentation, and transformation. Then we talked about the how, the flywheel. I talked about the Google point of view and gave you some pragmatic advice, hopefully, that can help you embrace digital transformation in your organization. Third, we talked about the what, 3 key considerations to keep in mind, and a use case, hopefully, that shows you how all of this theory can be translated into a practical example. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Sharma, for sharing knowledge-rich content with the audience. Now we'll move to track 5, which is around data analytics. Stay tuned for more information.